All right, good morning and welcome to the House Environment Committee. This morning we are looking at the latest draft of S12 with our legislative council.
Morning, this is Mike O'Grady. You should have in front of you a draft number 2.3 with the 4/27 date and 11/34 timestamp. I will just walk through the changes and then in addition, one requested change by A&R. First change is on page 5. It is really clarification of language. The first page 5, line 8, the editors, it had previously said 1,000 gallons per day, and there is no requirement, and the editors wanted it to be when there is no requirement for any variance, and so that change was made. Page 5, line 10 and 11. This was also editor change for consistency with language elsewhere in the bill. So it says the secretary may adopt a general permit for the permitting under this chapter of wastewater systems, and there's 2 ofs there. And then on page 5, line 13 and 15, there was.
Sorry, what was the line 10 change?
Pardon?
What was the line 10 change that was made?
It had just said for permitting of wastewater systems, and elsewhere in the chapter, it says permitting under this chapter.
Okay.
So that's the change that was made. And then page 5, line 13 and 15, this was the change to clarify what that term, unless such technologies are allowed by the secretary, modifies. So it had previously, that term could have been read to apply to the entire subdivision or just to alternative technologies. And so the order was reordered. So it's now do not require a variance, a hydrogeologic analysis, or innovative or alternative technologies unless such technologies are allowed by the secretary. Okay. Moving on to page 7. This is a clarification to it was just bad language. Page 7, line 15 previously said municipality delegated authority under the section. It wasn't reading right. So it's now a municipality that is delegated authority under this section. So just a clarification. Then the next is page 11. This is the request by A&R. It's on line 11. There is a provision in the E section or subsection for potable water supply and wastewater system connections that provides that in certain Vermont neighborhoods, those designated under 24 VSA Chapter 76A, that the fee shall not be more than $50 in situations in which the application has received an allocation for sewer capacity from an approved municipal system. And the agency has requested that this be struck. And I believe it's because of the effectively like the expansion of these types of neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And
We can let Brian explain to us. Welcome.
For the record, Brian Redmond, the Director of Drinking Water and Groundwater Protection Division in the Agency of Natural Resources. This is an issue we were analyzing leading up to crossover and have done some preliminary analysis about the expansion of the Vermont neighborhoods and the future land use mapping that is currently underway. We worked with the Vermont Center of Geographic Information Systems, VCGI, on a preliminary analysis based on the maps that have been submitted so far. And what we found is that the designated area under the Vermont neighborhood is going to greatly expand to somewhere in the range of 7-to-1 to 9-to-1 in increases in land area that would be eligible for the revised fee cap. It's going to be a significant expansion and a corresponding loss of revenue for the program. The program itself, the wastewater and potable water supply program, that's about a $3 million annual budget for the program. Of that 1.5 million are special funds, our permit fee revenue to support the activities of the program. And this would represent a fairly substantial reduction in those fees, one that we don't feel comfortable that we could sustain. And just to remind the committee, we are proposing a change in how the fee revenue for general permits is handled in this bill. We're consolidating our existing fee categories down to now 3 categories, and everybody that would be coming in under our existing fee schedule will get a break under this new fee schedule. So we're already projecting a bit of a loss from the changes in fee. So taken together, the issue had snowballed a little bit, leading us to today to request the change.
So is that striking out this section?
So the proposal is to strike out section D, yeah, on line 11 in its entirety.
11 through 16?
Yeah. So, okay. How, if we strike this and make the changes in this bill to the new fee structure, do you know what the lost contingency will be?
If it's not strict,
No, well, either way, both. If we, I was asking, if we strike this and we make the bill passes, sounds like you're gonna have a loss anyway, or will you?
so right now, under the current Vermont neighborhood designation, which is smaller than what we are
No,
into.
no, I get it. I'm looking at your overall budget.
Yeah.
The combination of the changing fee structure. What's your net loss?
Okay, so a little tough to pin it down exactly, but we're projecting about 100,000. That would be effectively mitigated by some of the repeals of the exemptions that are proposed here. There's certain activities that are exempt under existing regulations that we're now pulling back, and everybody gets the same treatment under the general permit for connections. So it is going to be mitigated by that somewhat. It's hard to really put a figure to that. Additionally, with any new program, we're going to be doing a lot more outreach and education to the Vermont public about this new program, and would expect a little bit more revenue coming in from that expanded outreach effort. So the worst case scenario, we're projecting at 100,000, but again, we think that is going to be mitigated pretty significantly and something that we can handle within our existing budget.
Can you help me and the committee understand how outreach brings in more revenues?
Well, I think just more information about a new program will land in municipalities, and there's probably some non-compliance. I mean, I don't think it's widespread, but there's probably some non-compliance. People just not knowing they need a certain state permit for the activity. And so I think anytime you expand outreach on environmental requirements, you will see an uptick in compliance.
Exactly.
Yes, so you're predicting at least a small but perhaps significant reduction in fees overall, given the changes here. And these changes are in statute, so they're going to be around for a while. And imagine that your costs over the next few years, say, are not going to be going down, but are probably going to go up, but the fees are going to stay the same. So do you have a plan for how you're going to maintain, your being able to manage these programs in the light of your revenue going down compared to your costs?
Yeah, I think we've thought pretty significantly about what's being proposed here and feel comfortable with the potential reduction. If we got it wrong, we would be back here requesting an adjustment. But I think at this point, we feel pretty comfortable with our existing funding sources that we'll be able to cover this gap.
Over the next few years?
Yes.
Thank you.
Other questions on this?
So would you like it struck?
Just gonna reread it and see if I have any further questions. Can you remind me what the duly delegated municipal program was before that it's referencing?
So remember, there was full delegation. This
Very rare instance.
very rare, Charlotte and Colchester, and they both gave it back.
Okay. Brian, do you have a sense of how often fees were only $50 prior, like before?
We looked at the existing data. We're seeing about 10 to, and these again are very specific areas within specific communities. And it's pretty limited at this point, between 10 to 15. We looked at 3 to 5 years of data. I can't remember.
10 to 15 a year?
Right here, applications that are. And I think, you know, this is anecdotal, but I think oftentimes when we are engaging with an applicant on this, there's an element of surprise that they're eligible for this benefit. So yeah, we're seeing about 10 to 15 of these annually.
Okay. Does anyone, Representative North?
Just to follow on to that line of questioning, so we're expecting a 7 to 9 time increase in that 10 to 15 to be more in the 70 to 100 kind of range, or is that the concern? That's why you're asking this to be struck?
Yes,
I thought that was a land area you were talking about.
it is hard to
Area.
get apples to apples on this comparison, but we looked at the maps that have been submitted so far. This is again right around crossover. There's 5 maps, if I'm not mistaken. And I should say this information's been sent over to Joint Fiscal. So they have this analysis. Depending on how you look at the data, if it's intersecting boundaries versus completely within, it's somewhere between 7 to 9 to 1 increase in land area. Now, how that transfers into permit activity is a difficult guess. We were projecting in the $400,000 to $600,000 range in revenue loss from the expansion. Again, it's early in the process, so it's hard to. This is still happening now, so it's hard to really pin it down, but it does appear to be significant.
And the revenue loss is because it nominally costs a lot more than $50? Or I don't understand, where's the revenue loss coming from?
It would be more properties eligible to receive the fee cap benefit. So
Whereas what would the fee nominally have been without the cap?
the fees, it would use the existing fee schedule, which
Above,
is,
okay.
Or if this passes and it qualified for the general permit, look at the general permit fee.
Which is what, $100 or something?
It's right on the next page, or at the bottom of the page, going on the next page. It's 250 for below 2,000 gallons per day, 2,500 for 2,065, and 5,000 for 65.
Sorry, where are the fees in the bill?
It's
Page 12.
Top of page.
Page 11, going to page 12.
So this section D is already in statute. This is existing cap that these designated Vermont neighborhood areas and are enjoying.
and it's the combination of the expansion in land area and this new reduced fee structure for connection permits. And presumably we'll see higher connection permit activity in these areas. So it's that nexus that started to get us concerned. We've looked at it a little closer.
So the estimated loss is in the order of 400 to 600,000. So
I've been saying 500,000 as a nice middle.
Any other questions?
No strike?
Does anyone object to striking this? I am not seeing any objections.
Did I move on?
Yes.
Page 15. This
Hmm.
was an internal debate in my mind.
How did it work out?
There's two definitions of public treatment work in federal regs. And I'd used the one under 403.3R before, but when I went back and looked at them again, I decided 403.3Q was really the more appropriate one. 403.3R is publicly owned treatment work plant. And this isn't just the plant, this is the whole pre-treatment system. And then that's the debate I was having in my head. So to Q, which is just publicly owned treatment works, which is the entire system. I think that's more appropriate for what is being contemplated here.
Makes sense to you, Brian?
Yeah, I haven't used language mostly, but that does make sense.
And that's the last change.
The members have any questions for legislative council or Brian Redmond? Senator Chapin.
Just related to that last section about EPA notifying the agency, did that already happen? I thought.
I'm sorry, to what?
Related to the EPA notifying the agency about authorization, I thought I heard that that was sort of maybe already underway. The agency-
That is underway. The last communication I got from Neil, he passed on correspondence that their attorney Eric Guzman has been having with EPA, and it's EPA Region 1 basically said it's okay.
Do we still need this section, the contingency section?
I'm sorry.
I'm wondering if we still need the contingency section.
No, you probably don't. You don't. That could go away.
Well, are you, I mean, it's in conversation now.
But there was an approval. And then they're re-evaluating some, but there's approval for the delegation. So I do think the contingency is no longer relevant.
Okay.
All of section 8.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, although,
I'm not arguing for it to go away.
yeah, I
Wanted to
just
see where we're
wanna,
at.
I wanna actually pause. I'm thinking about institutional memory, and the reality is that none of us would have found this without your institutional memory. And having it here reminds people, future people, if it's in the green books. Would it be in the green books? This would be session law.
It would be session law. But what I'd be concerned about is that last part, A&R notifying the clerk of the House of Representatives, and I don't think that's necessary. And what,
Which part are you concerned with?
so my concern is with, this is not a legal concern, it's a practical concern. It's with our publisher. They hate contingent effective dates, and they always want to know when the actual contingency happens. And it's just a practical burden. And that's my practical concern. My legal concern, I'm trying to find Neil's email. And so I could pass on what Eric provided. The communication that they received from EPA's Region 1 Pre-Treatment Coordinator stating, I've been checking with headquarters in other regions, but so far no one has any issue with delegating all aspects of the program to Burlington via an MOU. I think it would be prudent to speak with Region 1 regarding what form of authorization EPA would be willing to provide, but the approval has been granted.
Okay. But it's not just Burlington. I think
No, it's not, but it's
a little disturbing that it was singling out Burlington to me, just because it's something that would be available to other communities.
I think they could probably, they got approval from Region 1's pre-treatment coordinator, but it also says that they are talking to EPA about what form any MOU should take under an EPA authorization. So maybe you keep the contingency.
Okay, and then, yeah, I think so. It feels like it's just still underway to me, and I would like to be clear that it's not just Burlington.
Okay, so I have two changes. One is striking the neighborhood fee cap and one is striking a duplicative of.
Yes.
Fill out the highlighting.
Are members comfortable voting on this now? With those
Can I just ask one other question?
changes you certainly may.
Or is there anything else that was deleted? Because, the deletions don't show up in yellow. Is there anything else that was deleted from the previous? The
Any other changes from,
changes from the previous,
It should show up in yellow.
even if it was something that was.
That's why,
so the big change from the previous was the sideboards on the general permit authority other than the connection authority. So the, for boundary line adjustments, subdivisions, that was the big change in the last draft.
But that nothing got taken out in the current draft from the previous draft, nothing. This is what I'm asking.
No, nothing removed. That was the big addition.
in the previous draft, that was yellow in the
Yeah,
previous,
yes.
the clarification on the permit.
And then Burlington wanted some clarifying language around the pretreatment, specifically about the environmental division having jurisdiction over any appeals of their permitting.
Representative North is just asking if anything in the new draft, if there was anything taken out.
From the previous
From
draft.
the previous
Yeah, we now don't see it in the current.
No, nothing was removed.
That was my question.
Previous draft just added things.
And just to clarify, usually you would highlight, so it's what, even if it comes.
And sometimes it's hard to highlight deletions.
Yeah.
And I try to note that anyway. So there were no deletions.
Asking for clarification, thanks.
All right. Is there a motion? to move?
Can I just, so this draft number is this draft number?
You could change it to, you could say 2.3 as amended.
Will the number come through though in the next draft?
I could just say 2.4. 2.4.
Yeah. The motion is to,
And I can go do that right now. I have 20 minutes before my next committee.
so is there a motion to approve 2.3 with the changes that will make it 2.4 that we just discussed?
Yeah.
All right, Representative Pritchard moves, we approve it, and is there further discussion? I'm not seeing it. Will the clerk please?
Rep. Austin, yes. Rep. Chapin? Rep. Hoyt?
Yes.
Rep. Labor?
Yes.
Rep. Logan? Yes.
Yes.
Morris? North?
Yes.
Rep. Pritchard?
Yes.
Rep. Sakowitz?
Yes.
Rep. Taglia?
Yes.
And Rep. Sheldon?
Yes.
Okay, unanimous. Yeah. Can we give you more?
Yeah.
Oh. You guys can't do the math?
We were wondering what was taking
We
you.
want to make sure you can do that.
So 11-0.
All right, great.
Sorry.
Okay, with that, we will